everyone. This is Bob Sorrentino from Italian Roots and Genealogy. Be sure to check out our Facebook group and our YouTube channel and our great sponsors, Abiativa Casa, Italy Rooting, and Phil Italy. And my guest today is Maria Teresa Quaranta. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
I've been practicing it, but thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm appreciative to be on here.
No, it's my pleasure. So I usually like to start with, where I guess your grandparents, where did they come from in Italy?
So my maternal grandfather, so my mom's dad, he came from Solano on the Amalfi Coast from a town Fiore. So it's like between Amalfi, El Positano and Amalfi, and then Agerla is on the top, and then it's next to Conca de Marina. And then, so I have a lot of connections back there. So I identify mainly with being from, and then from Campania, and then my paternal grandfather is from Naples, right outside the city center, Sant'Antimum. So I have family still in those two places. So I'm more identified with being a town, Nablitan, with that like food, the dialect, the region. And then because my maternal grandmother is half Sicilian and half Basilicata. So it's kind of was a little bit. So I'm like very little when my parents combined, they were mainly Nablitan. And then my paternal grandmother was half Calabrese and half Paese. So I'm like kind of like a mix. But for me, it's mainly Campania.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm basically half Campania and half Puglia. So when
Nice.
did the family come to America?
I think like the 1920s, 30s, 40s, like around there. I'm not quite sure on dates. My my two grandmothers were, I think, American born and were more American than my grandfathers, from what I could retain from stories. And then I knew my great grandmother. So she came from Italy when she was like 17-ish, give or take, and she lived till like 100 and. So we spoke a lot about her. So I remember like she was in my life until I was 10, and we definitely had a lot of like, she would tell me how she came here on the boat and how she thought she was coming to New York but ended up somehow in Boston, and she had to get to New York to meet her. I think her brother was already in the States.
That happened a lot where people, were
Yeah.
supposed to go to New York and went to Boston, or was supposed to, in some cases, they were supposed to go to South America and they dropped them off in New York.
Yeah, so my bisnonna, my great grandmother, she would tell me stories because I had to do a report for school. And so we didn't, my dad didn't know because he never really like sat and guess it was a different time than it is now, and asked her about her story. But she was like on a ship and she came with her suitcase packed. And then she told me about like her shoes. She thought she came to America from Italy. She bought shoes and she thought the shoes were ugly. Like she's like, in America, no one had these types of shoes. So she threw them out because she was like, that'll be American. And then like 2 years later, the shoes were like in style. So she was like so upset because she threw out these expensive shoes from Italy, thinking they were garbage, and she wanted to be American. And then it ended up that the shoes were just, I guess Italy was more progressive in fashion from what I see today and from what she was saying.
Well, yeah, that's probably true, and probably even true today. I mean, that's great that you knew your great grandmother, and that she lived so long. I hardly knew. Well, my father's father died when I was a baby, and my parents are on the younger edge. So, but it's great that you got to talk to her. So, did she talk about Italy a lot?
Yeah, I mean, she talked a lot about Italy, and like I kind of eat very similar to her. Like she have a very Mediterranean diet, and I remember her biscottis. Like it's kind of still like how she didn't measure with them. Unfortunately, I didn't meet my dad's parents, so but I was able to be blessed to have my great grandmother. And then I had my mom's parents until I was in my 20s. So my mom's father, my nonno, was very like proud to be Italian, and he knew my other grandfather, so he would tell me things. They were like paisans kind of because they were both Nablitan. They both came from like I know my grandfather, my maternal grandfather came from East Harlem, so his family came from Italy, and then they were in East Harlem, and then the Bronx was like the country back then. It was like a stepping up stone. So then he knew my paternal grandfather because they were both from like the Campania region. They both were from the Bronx. So he kept a lot of Italian traditions alive. He had me always calling Italy back with him. I would help translate because he spoke Nablitan, I spoke proper. So he kind of wanted me like. Unfortunately, I never learned the Nablitan dialect, but he would try to teach me it, and now I wish I learned it.
I wish I learned Italian. I'm trying I'm trying to learn it, and it's, like, tough at this age to learn Italian, but I'm trying to, we have classes in the Italian club every Saturday, and I'm
Oh,
trying to
nice.
learn it. You know, my father spoke Napolitan and my mother spoke Barese, and you know, they used to fight all the time over who was speaking the proper Italian, and basically neither one of them was.
I hear like a very different like dialect from what I'm understanding from people. Like Baez is not easy because I think my bisnonna, my great grandmother was from Bari, so she spoke the Baez dialect. We spoke English. She had like pretty good command of her English by the time I came around. She had a broken in the accent, but she was pretty like we only spoke English, me and her. Grandfather, my mom's father, spoke Nablitan dialect. And he would tell me things in Nablitan and I would answer back in proper. I would say, no, I want to, like, now I regret not learning. And my mom knows Nablitan dialect better than I do. So when we go to Naples and stuff, she fares better with the language than I do.
Yeah, so did you learn so you learned Italian in school?
So yeah, well, Italian was my first language actually when I was born. Um, I guess it was Nablitan actually, technically speaking, because that's what my mom and my grandfather spoke. And then I wasn't really getting the hang of English, so they advised my mom to like stop making me bilingual and we completely switched over to English. So then I kind of, I guess, lost the Italian because I wasn't really, well, the Nobly Don, I guess, wasn't really around it much. My mom like had everyone speak to me in English. And then I went to high school. I did Italian during high school, and then I went to St. John's University, and I was an Italian minor, so I minored in Italian, and I studied abroad in Rome for a semester.
So you had a second interview in a row that the person was on. I went to St. John's too, long before you went.
Yes, John, you saw the best. St. John's.
I was there in the '70s, late '60s, early '70s. But some of my best friends are still from my fraternity there. Uh,
One of my best friends is from the Piccolo Italiano club. So, like, after, like, I graduated in 2015, 2016 from my master's. So, like, after 10 years now, we're still friends from the Italian club.
so that's great. So where did you live? Where'd you grow up that you went to St. John's?
So, I spent 18 of my years of my life in the Bronx. So, I'm a Bronx native. So, I grew up in like pretty much an Italian enclave. Like till this day, I'm very close to Arthur Avenue. I go back to Arthur Avenue. I worked at a bakery in Arthur Avenue throughout high school and college. Now I live in Lower Westchester. So I used to commute to and from St. John's, which is about like 20 minutes to half an hour, no traffic.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Yeah.
I would have thought it would have took longer than that. I guess you went over the Throgs Neck,
Yeah.
and then and then you're right there. Once you
Where
get
where are you
across.
located?
Well, I grew up in College Point, so I grew up
Oh,
just on the
okay.
other side of the Bronx. I was, um, I don't know, maybe a mile and a half from the Whitestone Bridge on
Oh
the
wow.
Queens side. Um, so we used to go when we were kids. We would go to there was a drive-in there right over the bridge, a drive-in movie theater, and that was like maybe 20 minutes away or something like that. Um, but I've never been to Arthur Avenue, believe it or not.
Oh, wow, you have to go. It's definitely like I feel like a lot of artisanal like I think the one in Little Italy is more like restaurants and touristy, where I feel like the one in the Bronx is more like true to like the craftsmanship of them still making fresh mozzarella or fresh filled cannolis or fresh baked bread. It's really like for me, I go every week almost with my mom. We still keep that tradition of shopping local, shopping small businesses. Kind of also feel connected to like my grandparents because like my dad's mom started down there. And then I remember going with my grandfather down there. And then I worked in a bakery from high school through college there. So it's kind of like a second home down there to me. And the church is beautiful. Our Lady of Mount Como, and they still have Italian Mass on Sundays.
Yeah, I think from what I understand, it's probably the last holdout in in New York City for the most part of all the Italian neighborhoods, that's kind of true to the tradition. Little Italy's definitely not the same. Where I grew up in Corona in Queens, it's there's a few Italian places here and there, but in the 50s and 60s, it was all Italian. You would hear Italian on the streets, and like you said, there were all the bakeries and the pork stores and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think most likely it's probably the last holdout. Williamsburg may have a few little places here and there, but it's not like they used to be.
Yeah, even the Bronx, like I mean, Arthur Avenue is Arthur Avenue, but like we had like Morris Park. That's like a few places, but it's changed a lot too.
Yeah, yeah. So now do you still go? You've gone back to Italy a lot, I guess, right?
Yeah, I go back a lot. Like I go back a lot. Like I lost count how many times.
That's great. That's great. So you have first cousins and cousins there, a lot of cousins there, or
Not first cousins. All my first cousins are here, but we have cousins. I mean, it's kind of convoluted the family tree. I'm still like I feel like my nonno's town, Fiordi, everyone's related. It's a very small town, so I feel like still in the process of figuring that out. But like my parents' siblings are all here. My first cousins are all here, so um, my closest family is in New York or Florida, pretty much.
yeah. So because I have cousins there. How far from Naples is it? By car when you to the little town?
So my dad's town's about 20 minutes because it's right on the outskirts of the city center. And then my mom's town's on the Amalfi Coast. So maybe like 2 hours tops. But like I like because sometimes like the Amalfi Coast has like those like I get like dizzy sometimes. So I actually like leaving from Naples and taking the ferry from like Sorrento to Amalfi. And then you have a short ride. It's like 10 minutes from Amalfi, the town.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I drove that road
Oh,
like
wow.
30 years ago. I wouldn't drive it. I wouldn't do it now. I was a lot younger and could see a lot better, but I wouldn't dare drive that Amalfi Coast Road now. It's too scary. And when the buses pass, it's like incredible.
It is. It's like I'm scared. I'm young and I'm still like the twisting and it's a lot for my sensory system.
Yeah, no, I bet. I couldn't believe it when I had no, I didn't know what to expect when I got on that road. And if I did, I probably wouldn't have done it because we were in Sorrento when it's not that far from Sorrento to get down there. But my father's family is pretty much, in the same general area. My grandmother was born in Turkala. So,
Okay.
right. I guess probably, yeah, 20, 25 minutes or something from Naples. And I have cousins. Actually, my father's first cousins in their 90s live in Torre del Greco.
Oh wow, that's in Naples.
Yeah, just outside. Yeah. And there's a couple other cousins that live. I don't remember the exact towns, but they're right around that whole Vesuvius area,
Oh nice.
which is really, really nice. And we had gone to there's a Sorrentino winery on Vesuvius. I don't know if you know that.
I felt like your name sounded familiar, but then I wasn't sure if I knew. Yeah, I think I did actually. I felt like there was some stuff in Italy named after that.
Yeah, well, there is a lot, but when we were going a few years ago, and I saw that there was a Sorrentino, well, unfortunately, they're not related, but I said, well, we have to go there. So anybody listening, if you're in the Naples area and you want to have a great wine tasting, go to the Sorrentino winery. They do a wine tasting and like 3-course meal and stuff like that. It's
Wow.
pretty neat. It's
I
really a
didn't
neat
know
place.
that. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I actually think they have I don't know how many rooms, but I think you could even stay there. I know there's another part of the vineyard where they have like lodging or something like that. So now you've been trying to research the family. How have you been doing that? What have you been using to try and find the family
I
back
mean,
there?
I just kind of use like oral, like word from my family, like remembering stories, and I was very close with my nonno. So like I just always sat with him. We always would have cappuccinos together or espressos and biscottis. So to me, I just kind of took it all in. And my mom actually has it. And then my on my dad's side, his sister, my aunt made one for that family tree. So she's pretty good with that. And then like for my mom did it for her family. And then I use a lot of like stories, like kind of oral tradition, passing down the stories.
Yep. Well,
And
that's
I
what I,
guess connected to Italy, like I go back a lot. So like in my nonno's town is one of the top 10 wines of Italy. It's the Marisa Cromo winery. So it's funny that you brought up winery. So definitely check that winery out. That was really good. And it's interesting because it's on the Amalfi Coast. So it's the vineyards are on the cliffs. So it's a little different from typical vineyards.
oh, wow, that's nice. We just did Sicily. We just did the last region. I have a guy at our club who's a wine expert, and we did a series. We're doing a series on YouTube about the different wineries. And, when he gets into it, like he explains like how the vineyards are in certain places, and it could be the same grape variety, but depending on where it is, the wine tastes different because, like, if it's on Vesuvius with the volcanic ash, it's one thing. If it's on the side of a cliff like over there, it tastes a different way. It's really amazing. Uh, and there's so many different wineries, and I mean, I forget how many he said. There's like tens of thousands of them.
It's like terraced in my nonno's town. So it's cool about this winery because I've been to like the ones out in Long Island and I went to one in Greece one time and just other ones in Italy, but this one's like terraced because they're in the Amalfi Hills, like the
Mhm.
cliffs, the mountains. So it's cool how they terraced it when I walked through it. And it was just like special to me because it's from my nonno's town. It's a female owned winery, and it's one of the top 10 wines of Italy.
Oh wow, I'll have to ask Tony about that because he knows. He's been there like hundreds of times. He's been to Italy. He was a
Yeah.
wine importer for like 50 years, and he knows like everything you could possibly
It's
think about.
called Marisa Cromo. So he probably, it's hard to get that into the United States, but he probably does know it.
I'm sure he knows it. I mean, one of the interesting things about over there is the Lacrima Christi, which is the tears of Christ, which he explained that you could only call the wine that if it comes from a certain area around Vesuvius, because the story is that when Lucifer got thrown out of heaven, he took a piece with him and he dropped it into the Bay of Naples. And when Christ saw that, he cried because it was so beautiful. And so you could only use that name. And Sorrentino is one of the wineries that can use it. Um, and it has to be grown in a certain area with a certain thing and stuff like that. Pretty interesting. And there's a lot of places like that. That place may have its own story where they have stories about the wine going back 500-600 years, and they just keep these traditions going. It's really
Yeah.
something. So I always like to ask, I guess you ate a lot of Italian food growing up.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't grow up on like penne alla vodka and like chicken palm. I think my mom cooked very like Southern Italian, like traditional to that region. So I agree, like pasta e broccoli and cannellini beans, the lentils. We had like, I mean, I'm a pescatarian, so I love fish. So I only eat fish now. So growing up, we ate a lot of fish in the house. We ate a lot of like lentils, bean soups in the winter, a lot of like escarole, broccoli. So like going to school, I used to go to school with like my grandfather had figs he would grow. So I used to go with figs to school for lunch. So a lot of times kids didn't know what it was, or like I had like Italian bread, not like peanut butter and jelly. So growing up, it was kind of like at one point in elementary school, like hard for me because like I was with school with a lot of American kids. So like I felt like kind of displaced. Like I wasn't blonde hair, blue eyes. I didn't have peanut butter jelly. I didn't have bologna sandwiches. So, but I realized I had the better food at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the food over there is completely different from over here. But that's interesting, you being so young and having those memories, because I have the same memories growing up. But people after my generation and my family don't have it because we were the same way. We would go to the beach and we would have, sausage and pepper sandwiches and eggplant parmesan and stuff like that. And the kids on the next blanket were eating peanut butter and jelly and bologna sandwiches and stuff like that.
Or like the airport, like I don't know, we still do it. Like we pack our own food for the plane. If we go back to Italy, like we make our own sandwiches or like bring our own meal. Like last year, I bought peppers and tuna fish with me on the plane because I don't eat plain food because that's like I don't know. To me, it's like beneath us, I guess, as Italians.
Well, it's just awful.
Yeah, no, it is, but it's like I feel like being Italian, anything you do, it's kind of like the food, and I don't know if we're like we just know better the finer taste of food.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. ITA's food wasn't too bad. It was okay. We flew over last time earlier this year on Delta, and it was just it was I couldn't even eat. We just passed it by. It was so terrible.
I think last summer I flew Delta, I did JFK to Napoli, and I remembered him and I told him to keep the food
Yeah,
because I had my own food. And the flight attendant was Italian, so she was kind of like, or he, I forgot, was kind of like, you're better off with your own food.
yeah, no, no, definitely. And that's the thing. Uh, people don't realize that Italian food over there is completely different than what we call Italian food here, because it's more Italian American than Italian food. It's not that, but they asked me in Italy, you know, well, you make your tomato sauce with ketchup, and I said, no, we're not that bad.
Yeah, I find like the hardest thing was like explaining to my family like when we come to America we like they don't register it. It takes a lot of like kind of like explaining and showing them pictures that we still preserved our culture and tradition like tomato sauce jarring or like that we have Arthur Avenue or shops where you can still get like these specialties. They seem to be like shocked or like shocked that I still make a rococo for Christmas. Like it's like they think we come here and we become McDonald's hot dogs eating kind of like it's kind of like takes a lot of time to explain to your family that like hey we still keep an identity and a culture. So I feel like Italian Americans know what's going on in Italy, but I feel like sometimes my family or Italians I come across don't realize our culture and identity of Italian America.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I'm lucky. I have an Italian bakery like just 4 blocks away from here.
Which one?
It's what's the name? Del Ponte is the name of it,
Oh,
and so they still have the biscotti and they make a lot of other stuff too, but they still have the good Italian bread that they bake there, and things like that. The Italian cookies naturally and stuff. But even when you go there, the pastries over there are different than the pastries over here. They're much lighter, less sugar. To me, they taste a lot better over there than they do over here.
even the fruit, like nectarine, I really don't eat nectarine since I lived in Italy. I can't really eat a nectarine and a peach ever again here. I find like the watermelon's different. When I come back from Italy, I'm usually like everything tastes like cardboard. Like the tomatoes, like my dad has a garden, so his tomatoes are pretty good. Like they taste like Italy. But when I come back, it's like everything just doesn't taste the same. It's like so clean there, so fresh. I don't know. I feel like everything.
Well, because they pick the stuff and ship it, that day. I asked somebody, actually, I didn't ask, he pointed it out, but we were driving past a stand somewhere, and we were in Naples at the time. And he said, see, they don't need refrigerators in the fruit stand here because whatever he buys in the morning is gone by the afternoon. And tomorrow he gets just more stuff. And they do everything seasonal over here. Like
Yeah.
here, everything is shipped from all over the world. It's in containers. It's not ripe when they send it. So yeah, no, it tastes crappy. I grow some tomatoes and some eggplants. I don't have a lot of room, but I grow a few things. And you can tell, the taste is different. It's definitely different.
Where you're in Long Island
I'm
currently?
in I'm in New Jersey.
Okay, so
I'm,
that's yeah.
yeah, I'm by Asbury Park, not far from Asbury Park.
Okay. Yeah. So I feel like sometimes like my dad has zucchini and tomatoes and I taste the difference, but sometimes like if I buy like things like blueberries, sometimes they can be good if they come locally, like from New Jersey.
Mhm.
Or like sometimes I get good strawberries from Florida, but I feel like you said, like we get asparagus from Mexico or South America, but it's not really in season here. And then the time to come here and then like the weather, they have to go through a lot of different weather conditions.
Well, yeah, and they're not they can't pick them ripe. So, and then who knows, they gas them and do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say Italy has like a lot of restrictions on food and pesticides. So I think that's the other thing. I feel like they really take care of their people there. Like at least when I go to Italy, I love tuna fish jarred. So it's cheaper in Italy and it's better. Like it's extra virgin olive oil. It tells you and it's organic and it's cheaper. So I tend to fill a suitcase up of tuna to bring back to the U.S. for the year.
Yeah, they don't have they you don't have a problem bringing it back. It's okay to bring it back as long as it's jarred.
Well, it's jarred tuna fish and it's in oil. I mean,
Yeah, so it's okay. Yeah. I'm not a big fish person, but
oh,
I do enjoy it over there. I mean, we were in Calabria, we were in Sheila, and they have this great swordfish sandwich there. And all it is, I mean, it's olive oil, lemon, and swordfish. That's all it is, and it's like really, really good. You wouldn't know because they're in Italy, of course. Same thing. The fish comes out of the water and it's on the table.
yeah. I had swordfish in the Amalfi Coast for the first time because they always say like it has high mercury, but I wanted to give it a try and it was good. I haven't been to Calabria. I'm hoping to make it this summer, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, if you go there, you have to go to Sheila. Sheila was
You're the second person telling me this.
it was just it's we love it. I mean, uh, my wife always said if she was going to live anywhere in Italy, it would probably be in Sheila. Uh, it's small, and but it's right on it's right on the houses are like in the water almost when you're right on the right on the shoreline. So you have the stone building, and it's literally in the water. And they have some really great fish restaurants. But there's one place in particular, I don't remember the name, but basically all they serve is this swordfish sandwich.
All right.
I mean, they have other stuff too, but they're known for this swordfish sandwich.
Well, now I want to go check it out because I've never been to Calabria, so I been from like Milan all the way down to like Solano, the city center. I'd say would be this, or maybe Paestum. I've been to. That's like the south, and then I've been to Sicily, but I've been to Taormina and Syracuse and Ragusa, so I have to go do the rest side, like the Palermo side. But I'm trying to get to Tropea this summer. I heard Tropea is beautiful, but now maybe I don't know.
Well, Tropea is great because we didn't stop there, but we passed by there. But they have, it's big beach resorts and stuff like that. It's certainly more touristy than Sheila. Sheila, there's no tourists in Sheila. It's just the time. I mean,
You
there's
know,
a
it's
few here and
funny.
there,
You're
but
the second person who recommended Sheila, so now I have to put it on my bucket list.
yeah, I'll send you a few of the pictures there. And then what it is, it's up high, it's the town itself, the main part of town, and then you walk all the way down to the shore. We did it the wrong way. We did it backwards. We took the elevator down and walked up for some strange reason, but
It's
it was a
okay.
hike.
It's okay. I've done that plenty of times. I went to Sorrento and I didn't know to get to Marina Grande to get to dinner. I followed my Google Maps because I thought I was gonna be smart last summer. I was like, oh, I can do Google Maps in Italy. And he brought me some long rounded way that if I just I didn't end up in Marina Grande, I ended up in the town, the old town center. So I walked this like whole outskirt thing and I realized when I went back to the hotel, they told me how to get there. Google Maps obviously was putting me way out of my race. So the second night I went back to Marina Grande, it was simple. It was like so easy. But sometimes I don't know, things happen for a reason. I found the restaurant I wanted to check out anyway that I went with my normal. So it was all inspired to be that night.
Yeah, that happened to us in Taranto. We were using Google Maps to go someplace, and um, I mean, it took us up and down and around and back, and then we were going to take the train from there to Bari, and I said, well, before we have to go with all the luggage, let's practice. Let's walk to the train station and see where it is. So we were walking to the train station. It was like a straight run, like right along the water, and just before we got to the bridge to go over the train station, I looked to my left and there was the place that we went to like 2 days before that took us like 45 minutes to get there. And it actually only took 15 minutes
All right.
straight, straight with no stairs or no up and down or anything like that. So yeah, Google Maps can be interesting. It's like in Bari itself, we were in the old city and forget it. In those old cities,
The Wi-Fi is sketchy.
yeah, and the roads, everything twists around, the streets. And finally, I said to my wife, I said, you know what? I said, I think it may take 5 minutes longer to get to the B&B. I said, but if we walk along the water, we're not going to get lost. So that's what we
Yeah.
did every day. We just walked along and we made two turns and there we were.
That's funny. I was in Paestum. I was like living in Rome at that point for a semester. So me and my friends at the time, we went to the buffalo mozzarella, see the buffalo mozzarella to have it. And the professor said like, "Oh, you just go straight back to the hotel." We thought we knew it, so we ended up doing the shore. So we remember the hotel was on the water. So I said, "Well, we'll either just walk south and walk into Calabria eventually, or we'll hit the hotel. And if we walk into Calabria, we just turn around and know we have to go back that night." So it's funny with the beach and the water. So we ended up, I think, going in the right direction. But we were kind of lost in southern Italy. I remember because I was the only Italian when my other friends were different nationalities. So I was able to speak Italian, but then they spoke with dialect because there was like really Sud Italia. And they like I knew a little from my nonno, my mom, so I was able to manage. And then I was praying to Padre Pio, honestly, because they had Padre Pio everywhere. So I was like, oh my God, I was praying. Like we were scared, but I mean, it's kind of like fun. Like after looking at it, it was a fun story to tell.
Yeah, well, yeah, those things are always fun after you get back
Yeah,
to where you're supposed to be, right?
yeah. But the
Like I
water
could laugh
kind of
about.
guides you.
Yeah, well, that's what it was with us because, like I said, those turns of like the old in the even in the the big cities, those old sections just very chaotic, and like you said, half the time the Wi-Fi doesn't work anyway. So you're going back again now or soon?
Yes, soon, like less than 2 weeks, I'm supposed to be back.
Great. And so where are you gonna go? You going to the club?
No, I'm not going to Rome because it's the Jubilee year, so I want to walk through the doors. And I lived in Rome, so it was nice to see. Like that's where I studied abroad in Prati, Rome, at St. John's campus there. So I spent like 2 days there, and then I'm gonna take I guess the train and then a ferry from Rome to Solano, and then I'll be in like Amalfi Coast in that area. And then I'll probably hopefully get to Calabria because I want to do something different and see a different region of Italy. And then I'll probably head up back to Napoli and spend a few days there, and then I'll end in like maybe Frosinone and then back to Rome and leave.
I didn't know St. John's they have a campus there?
Yeah, they have a Rome campus in Prati, Italy. That's they own the building.
Okay. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know that. That's
yeah.
something. They didn't have
So
it when I was going to St. John's.
yes, I actually that was why I went to St. John. So I was supposed to go to Fordham University because I'm like a Bronx girl and it's close to home, and it was on Arthur Avenue, and it just kind of made sense. But then like Fordham didn't have the campus in Rome, and St. John's gave me a lot of scholarship money. And originally I went for a bachelor's in accounting and a master's in tax, so I was able to do a semester undergrad, and then I was, not to brag, but I was in the top 10% of my graduating class for accounting and tax. So we were able to, our senior year, work full time. I was did my internship at EY, and then we did a business trip to Italy. So I was actually in the Maserati factory. I was, they did the food expo we did there. I went to PwC Rome. I went to EY Rome. We went to Deloitte Rome. So we were able to like do business in Italy and see how the transactions were different from the United States. So it was pretty cool. St. John's has that opportunity.
Yeah, that is neat. Yeah, my one friend, Billy's still doing it. I don't know if he's in Yonkers. I think he's in Yonkers. He's still doing taxes now. I went to school with him.
Yeah, but I
Is
switched. I'm not a tax. I left. I worked 2 years in corporate America. It was a lot working with a big four. I was working in the real estate and construction end. So I was working 7 days a week, 14, 15 hours. It was just really rough for me. I'm more social. So I ended up going and getting to Hunter, getting my master's in special education, and I'm a special ed teacher now.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. Yeah, yeah. Is Maserati, are they in Modena too? Is their factory in
They're in Torino, in Turin.
they're in Torino? Because we went this last time. We had never been north before, so we went north this time. And my daughter loves cars, so we wound up going to the Ferrari factory or
Cool.
the museum in Modena. Not the factory. We didn't go to the factory. We went to the museum. Um, but that was pretty neat. And what we liked about Modena, and then we also went to Ferrara, is uh, there's no tourists there. So it's so nice to be in Italy when you're out when you're not in tour. I mean, most of our trips have been places where there haven't been tourists, but then you go to Venice or someplace like that,
Yeah.
and it's like just wall to wall people. Might as well
Yeah,
be in New York City.
I feel like that about Milan. Milan, I've been to twice, and it's close to Lake Como, so it's in an ideal spot to get to Lake Como. Or when I went to the Maserati factory in Torino, I stood in Milan because that was how St. John's programmed it. But it was cool. The Maserati factory. I can definitely send you pictures, or if you're Facebook friends with me, you can go back to 2015. It was really cool because you saw like for Maserati, they don't make the cars until an order is placed. So when someone orders a
Mhm.
Maserati, then they design and build it. So it was really cool seeing the machinery, seeing the different process steps. We were inside it because we were doing like the business end and seeing how it, like their business model runs.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. And they explained in the Ferrari museum that at one point, if you had a Ferrari anywhere in the world and there was a problem, they would send somebody from Italy
Oh
to
wow.
fix it. I don't think they do that anymore, but that's
Oh,
the way it was. And I forget they explained the whole Ferrari Maserati thing. Forget which one came first, but they were kind of
I
came
think
up at
it's
the same
yeah.
time.
Yeah, so I'm very like into St. John's. It's because the international connections, especially with Rome, they own the campus, so everything transfers very easy. My credits, my classes, I had same professors from the Queens campus to the St. John's campus. So
That's so cool. I have to ask some of my friends um if they know about that because I
they
had
also have
had
a
no idea.
Paris. They have a Paris campus as well and a Seville one.
Really? Wow.
Yes, St. John's is very international, and they do a lot of exchange programs now. So, because I was also big in my accounting club at St. John's, but I was very connected being an Italian minor to the Piccolo Italiano. I was in the Italian Honor Society, so I was the treasurer for 2 years for Piccolo Italiano. So I think for me, it was just very like ingrained in me to be a passionate Italian American. I have a business now that's founded on teaching Italian to children. It's
Mhm.
called Piccolo Futuro. I wrote my own bilingual financial literacy book for children. It's called Andiamo a fare shopping con Mari. So it's in English and Italian, and it teaches kids about the Italian language, financial literacy. So I kind of still use my business degree, but I use it now with an education twist.
That's great. So where can people get that?
My book's on Amazon. So if you put shopping, let's go shopping with Mari. Andiamo a fare shopping con Mari come up, or I can send you the link. And I have my company's Piccolo Futuro. So I wrote lessons for children about the Italian language, culture. I'm a big Napoli fan, so I just wrote a Scudetto, like when they won the Scudetto back in May. I did a whole lesson on that, or Festa della Repubblica, or Tarantella. Like I taught um the kids with the history of the Tarantella. It's a quick dance to heal you from the tarantula bite, and then you learn the Tarantella. So kind of like founded my business based on preserving our culture, language, and heritage.
That's great. I had no idea all that. So yeah, I'll put the links in. I'll put the links into the site and the book and all of that kind of stuff. That's really neat to know. That's super stuff. Yeah.
So I think that's back to my legacy, my roots of my grandparents. I was super close with my grandfather. Me and him were like, inseparable. So that was like something I wanted. He always told me like be proud to be Italian, never forget Italy, never forget who you are. Like those were some of his promises he made me say to him before he passed. So like for me, it was something hard to find once he died in 2015, but in 2024, I kind of figured it out to like make this company to continue the legacy. It's something I think is really, really valuable for our future. And so I call it Piccolo Futuro Little Future. If we don't invest now for our future, then it may get lost.
Yeah, well, that's why I do this because, we need to preserve the future. And, well, I don't want to say it's getting lost. I mean, because I think, some people are starting to come back to it and people are starting to name their kids with Italian names and being proud of it and stuff like that. But, I think it's important for everybody to know where we came from. And it wasn't easy for the people who came here, you know.
Yeah, no, I remember my grandparents told me stories like my grandfather, like after World War II, like he only spoke Italian in his house, but his mother couldn't speak English. So like when they would go out, sometimes like he had to like go by himself without her because they would be like investigated or the enemy because it was after World War II or during.
It was during World War II, yeah. I mean, they had to register as enemy aliens. I have the cards from my grandparents.
Yeah, my grandfather would tell me that like about his mother when they got here, or like, and then like his brother had to go fight the war because, and then they didn't realize when they did that they were giving up Italian citizenship. Like it was hard because like there was no really true translation for them.
Mhm.
So it's it was kind of a lot for like the stories that were faced or like what my grandfather told me or my grandmother like my grandmother completely didn't want to know anything about being Italian. She wanted to be American where my grandfather kind of wanted to keep it and pass it down. I think my grandmother rejected it more. So it was just interesting seeing the different ways they dealt with it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, and I've heard several stories like that. I mean, some people wanted to go back. Some people were like, "No, I don't ever want to go back."
I mean,
Yeah.
my grandmother went back to visit on vacation when they got older, but I think for her when like during that time frame she wanted to like become educated, she wanted to be more American
Mhm.
and adapt the more American way. Where for my grandfather, I think it was kind of like he still wanted to be Italian, but like he would have to do things and hide his Italian like out on the street. They couldn't speak it. He faced a lot of discrimination. He would tell me stories. So, but he was like always proud. Like growing up, he made manicotti with me. We made cookies together. We did gardens. So for him and me, he made sure it was ingrained all that within me. And he told me like always be proud of it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, this has been fun. This has been great. I had no idea that you had the book and all of that kind of stuff. So that's super information, and it's great when I get to. And I'm getting more and more. It's great when I get to speak to younger people than me, because most of the people are ancient.
No, you guys are wisdom. You have like don't say it like that. We need intergenerational. We can all like learn from one another.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I had a good time.